Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your guest host,
Charles Glidden.
Coming up next, first, we're talking about bullying and an effort to stop bullying. Then we'll have some open line before topping it off with a conversation with Premier André Ebanks. Talk Today is next on Radio Cayman.
Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Talk Today. I'm Charles Glidden. Thank you for letting me be a part of your afternoon, maybe part of your lunch hour. It's a brand new week and a brand new month. Yep. Well, I hope you got all refreshed over the weekend, got ready to face a brand new month of things that you got to get done. Probably some deadlines in there that you need to pay attention to. But, yep, things are zipping by, and the year's moving on. And it's funny, everything starts up kind of slow in January. People getting back into the groove. But just about March now, things start to happen. And we got Parliament coming up this week. Was it on Wednesday? Parliament begins. And there'll be a number of interesting things in there. And we'll be paying attention to that. Hope to be talking about that later on in the show. The Premier, the Honorable André Ebanks, is joining me later this afternoon at about 1:30. So you want to make sure and catch that. And, well, I was supposed to have some guests around about now. But I don't know, maybe they're looking for parking. Yeah, we were going to be having a guest about anti-bullying, the effort to, bullying comes in so many forms these days. You got the physical bullying still out there, the bully on the playground. And now, of course, to complicate matters, you got, digital bullying. And that's been the talk for, some time now, because it almost seems that the online bullying is even worse than what people of my generation know about bullying. Yeah, you might, the bully that wants to beat you up and stuff like that. But online bullying, it's like psychological warfare. you know. It from stories that I've heard, and I'm sure that you've heard, online bullying it's almost worse than getting beat up by the bully, right? Because it's so devious. It has a way of destroying people's, not only their reputation, but their spirit. And young people especially are very vulnerable to online bullying. Of course, young people these days practically live an online life, right? If you're not into the online thing, well, you're not in with the cool kids. And if the so-called cool kids, I guess, decide to target you online, it can be a horrific thing. I mean, we have heard of things going to the extreme of young people actually committing suicide because of the treatment that they have received online. And I guess one of the differences that bullying of yesteryear and of this year is that the embarrassment, the harassment is so well known, or widely known, I guess I should say, because, the internet has no bounds, right? And whereas you might have been bullied as a kid and only a few people knew about it, this kind of bullying in this age, 2026, it's broadcast on the internet. People do all sorts of terrible things, and take pictures and manipulate them to make it look like someone is doing something embarrassing or intimate, and then publish them. And when it's out there for anybody to see. And this has happened to a number of people. We've had people from the police and various agencies who have come on here and talked about it. And, the crushing consequences that it has on people's reputations, people's minds, and whole lives can be disrupted. So, bullying is something that I'm sure it still has its physical aspects of it, of the bully in school, the bully in the workplace. Have you ever come across one of those? The bully in the workplace, yeah. Knows everything and tries to make everybody else feel beneath them. And adults, though, can, at least most of them can deal with that much better than a teenager who already has all kind of doubts about themselves, trying to find out who they are, trying to find their groove, trying to become comfortable in their skin. And when people pile up on you, as often does, all you need is one, and others follow. That one bully that leads the pack, right? The head dog. and others join in to have their little bit of fun also. And this can really destroy a person's personality, especially when you're talking about teenagers, 13, 14, 15 years old, and the doubts that they have about themselves is magnified by these kind of things that people calling them, labeling them certain things, and the name calling, I guess, is one, but labeling people as certain things is probably even worse. You put a label on someone that almost sounds legitimate, and then that person has to try and live with that. And just think of a teenage brain, that a teenage personality trying to deal with that. And often they can't. And how they react is sometimes very much to their detriment and their family's detriment. You end up with, parents can end up with a child who, is now withdrawn, can't cope with going to school because of some picture, some comment that was put out on social media. And it's going to be very interesting when this private member's motion is brought in Parliament this time that seeks to restrict youngsters below the age of 16, I think it is, from internet access. It's going to be a very interesting debate on that. Are we protecting our children with that? Or are we denying them access? That's the question. What do you think? You think we should be restricting access to social media to children under 16? And then, as someone pointed out, what is the definition of social media these days? Because, is WhatsApp a social media? And there's aspects of social media on WhatsApp. So what are the platforms that people would actually be, under 16, people would be restricted from? It's 12:30, and that means I've got to take a little break. Be right back.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman celebrating 50 years of a golden pearly shell broadcast service to the Cayman Islands community. 50 years, over 6 decades, enriching the Cayman Islands community with entertainment and content covering inspiration, current affairs, news, CI historical and cultural enrichments, and a wider view of the world around us. Happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Yes, what is on your mind? Pick up the phone, give me a call, let's chat. Numbers to call, 1-800-534-8255. That's courtesy of Flo. You can also call on 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp 925-3261. And we do have someone on the WhatsApp line right now, so let's check in with them. Good afternoon, you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Charlie.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, speaking about bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced that in school and at the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Some people just grow up to be a bully, right?
Yeah, and the ones who are the bullies, the parents need to let them know that it can be dangerous in more than one way.
Mm-hmm.
It can be dangerous to the person they're bullying, to the point where that person might feel like taking their own life.
Exactly.
Depends on what kind of bullying it is. Then again, you have individuals who won't take their own lives, but they'll take vengeance in their own hands and kill the bully.
Or others.
Yeah, so parents need to teach their children that bullying is something that they should not be doing. Because provocation is a serious something. And like I said, you have people who may take their own lives because they can't tolerate being bullied anymore. And then you have people who will take vengeance in their own hands and kill the person who's bullying them. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the call. You know, the caller was just saying that, you know, parents need to teach their children this, but in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases I've seen where you have a child that's a bully. Guess what? One of the parents is also a bully, an adult bully. And that child is modeling what they see their parents do. Because, you know, bullies grow up, and they become adults, they become parents. And if that's the kind of personality they have, unless somebody teaches them a lesson, there's a chance that they will continue to be bullies into adulthood. And as the caller said, you know, he's experienced bullies in school and on the job. So it's like, you know, this kind of vicious circle, right? You have a parent who is in fact a bully, and the child just models what they see going on at home, how that parent interacts with neighbors and other people in the community, and they think that's what you do. Because the prime example of what children will model is what they see at home. That's where they learn, about being a person. And if they've got a parent who likes to overwhelm other people, whether verbally or even physically, get violent, they think that's how you do it. It's the same thing that we've heard about, like domestic violence, right? Youngsters see domestic violence in their home, and they think that's how people interact. It's not all children will do that, because we also know that some children, if their mother is being beaten by their father, at some point they will try to defend the mother. But when it comes to the conflict resolution, perhaps it's not a situation where, the domestic violence is a 7-day-a-week thing. But when there is conflict, when there's a row, the row is more than verbal. It then becomes a physical thing, and to end it, often the male will become violent. That's because that's how he grew up resolving a conflict, was to try and overpower the other person physically. That's what he learned. You're in an argument, you argue until at some point it turns physical. And the boy in the family may take that as an example of how to resolve a conflict. And often when people go into counseling, anger management, the whole exercise is them unlearning that aspect of conflict resolution. The conflict can be resolved in other ways besides physical violence. But so many people have that as their ace that they pull out the sleeve, that I can overpower you, I can beat you up. And that's their idea of conflict resolution, is to dominate the other person. Still very interested in what people think about the prospect of us having a restriction on youngsters under 16 being able to go onto social media. And that's become, as it is all over the world. In Cayman, it's no different. Social media is where kids play these days. They may play on the playground, at school, but once they come out of school, the playground is online. Whether it's gaming or chatting, TikTok, posting things on TikTok, and I guess youngsters don't go to Facebook too much. Though. Facebook is older people, right? Like me and Susan, we're Facebookers. Right? So they say, I'm on Instagram too. Yeah, but that's where the kids play these days. They don't go outside, go down to a neighborhood park or something and play. They're online playing. And so that's where bullying in the 21st century takes place. Online, with all sorts of cyber trickery, people posting things, embarrassing, other people, and it can certainly be devastating. I'm not sure how they go about actually restricting. I guess is that going to be up to the provider? What how do you restrict? Can you tell I'm typing? Young people from using social media. Yeah, UK. Well, first thing that came up here was UK social media ban for under 16 consultation begins. So it's already started in the UK. This is a BBC story here. UK launches consultation asking for views on under 16's social media ban. And once, I think that this all started in Australia. Now the UK. So, and I think France also. France is looking at this. So this is something that is coming more and more to a head. And the UK government has launched a public consultation on whether to ban social media for under 16s, inviting young people and their parents and guardians to submit comments ahead of a government decision on the proposal. The debate over a minimum age for social media use has been fired up by Australia's decision last year to ban children from a range of platforms, including Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and TikTok. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall said the consultation would help establish how young people could thrive in an age of rapid technology change, as well as engaging opinion on an outright ban. The government wants the public's views on less dramatic interventions. And these include whether platforms should be required to switch off addictive features like infinite scrolling and autoplay, whether mandatory overnight curfews would help children sleep better, whether children should be able to use AI chatbots without restriction. That's an interesting one because, boy, they can be used for all kinds of stuff. How age verification enforcement should be strengthened. So you have to verify your age to be able to log on. Alongside the consultation, pilots will be conducted testing some of the proposed interventions to provide real-world evidence of their effectiveness. The government said the path to a good life is a great childhood, one full of love, learning, and play. That applies just as much to the online world as it does to the real one, said Kendall. We know parents everywhere are grappling with how much screen time their children should have when they should give them a phone, what they're seeing online, and the impact all this is having. This is why we're asking children and parents to take part in this landmark consultation. So UK is moving ahead with this, and they're in the consultation phase, but that will close on 26th of May, with the government planning to respond in the summer. So most likely before the end of 2026, the UK is going to have some kind of ban on social media for under 16s. Right now, let's take a break. Be right back.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kim and Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
If you have an objection to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Don't do it, Tevin! I still love you. I have since the day we stole your mom's car and got matching dolphin tattoos.
Oh, Lordy. Janelle? From spring break 08?
Yes, it's me.
Janelle, you've got to move on.
We're like the wedding guest that doesn't ruin the ceremony. CG Brit K. Good like that.
By now, you should know that the use of tobacco and alcohol are determinants of ill health, meaning that they negatively influence health outcomes for users. Yet 13% of Cayman's population are current smokers, and 9.9% of the population drink daily.
The STEPS 2023 National Health Survey gives us information on the prevalence of risk factors for non-communicable diseases. Your health matters. Let's step into Wellness Cayman. Learn more by logging on to gov.ky/steps.
The Consumer Price Index Rental Survey conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office is now underway. The survey aims to collect data from residents of the Cayman Islands who are renting properties. The ESO invites participation in the Consumer Price Index Housing Rental Survey, which the ESO will conduct in February, May, August, and November each year. The CPI survey helps to calculate the inflation rate or the changes in the cost of living in the Cayman Islands. Trained ESO staff with ESO ID cards will administer the survey. The individual information is confidential in accordance with the Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329 or directly at 244-4602.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. We're talking about this and that, and you can pick up the phone and chat about something that's on your mind, also something you want to bring to our attention. Before we went to the break, we were talking about UK moving forward with banning social media for under 16s. And of course, during this sitting of Parliament, the Honourable Paulina McGaw Lumsden will be bringing a private member's motion, and she was on here. She was talking about it last week, and she indicated that she does have support for it. It'll be interesting to see what happens when that is brought forward. But it's not like you're bringing something out of the clear blue sky here. Already Australia has done it. UK looks like they're well on their way. So Cayman will be following in their footsteps. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Glidden. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm kind of upset today.
About what?
I'm trying not to, but calling these businesses with these answering machines.
Press 1, press 2, press 3.
Yep. And by the time you do all of that, your credit run out. I mean,
yeah.
Gee, I don't want to tell you the experience I had today. I can't tell you that.
How long were you online, hanging on, just waiting for someone to get you?
I was online till my credit run out. I was online till my credit run out.
Yeah. I mean, how long was that? How long was that?
$20 this morning. I had $20 on my phone this morning, and I used that up between hospital and I did get through with them, trying to reach out to the physio department.
So you never got through to the people you were trying to reach at HSA?
No, sir. The operator tried to, couldn't get through to them. I don't know what's happening to the people. I mean, they're working there, but these answering machines comes on, and poor people and elderly people, they can't know nothing about technology. Could tell you, email this and email that, and you know, it's.
So that's not an option for you. That's not an option for you, is what you're saying.
Not only for me, for plenty of people.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if you call credit union, that recording there that you got so timely, you got press about 10 number, and then your queue in line is number 4. I mean, how can a person, unless it's Mr. Dart, I mean, he can hold on. But I mean, no ordinary poor people, they got, like I say, a little plan $25 a month or something on their phone. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I don't know if anybody.
So you used up all the credit that you had this morning on trying to make one phone call.
And I put on $20 again, and I got $6 left.
But it's interesting that you call about that, because they're taking a survey now. As a matter of fact, it began today. They launched it today, a survey on what people have to say about service at HSA.
I mean, the operators answers, don't get me wrong.
Right.
The operators answers, and then they transfer you to the other departments. But the other department don't pick up. Answering machine come on right away. We're unavailable. Leave your name and number and a brief message. And Mr. Glidden, they do not return your call. None of these answers, at least not mine. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna talk for myself. Other people can talk. I mean, what I'm saying, Mr. Glidden, the point is this. We all got limited amount of funds on our phone.
Uh-huh.
These places, you can't call WhatsApp. These is places that you got to call direct.
Yeah, and they got a landline.
People limited, and you got to wait so long because these answering machines comes on and tell you who to call, and then when they ring, unavailable, and sometimes they don't even answer. The answering machine cut off and cut your call. So that's what I got saying. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what happened to K-Band.
Well, maybe you can, make your complaint known and get one of those forms that you have to fill out and give your feedback on the service that you received.
I tired of complaining, sir. Tired. Can't get through. Tired. Very tired. Yes, sir. Have a good day.
All right. You too. Good to hear from you, George.
Yeah. And also, one more quick point.
Uh-huh.
Ask the Premier, I understand he's coming on.
Yes.
If he can make the law, if he can, I don't know, or bring it to the LA, that your voter's registration card can be accepted as an ID instead of the driver's license. Anybody can get a driver's license here in Cayman. Your voter's card is government, and that's supposed to be genuine.
What, did someone say that you couldn't use it? Because I thought you could. I thought you could use that as an ID.
I went to plenty places, and they say, no, I need your driver license. And I get crazy. I got a voter's card, you know. So you just ask him his position on that. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
All right, you take care. I thought the voter's registration card was an ID. I mean, it is when you go to vote, right? And your identity is checked. In order to get one, you have to, fill out a form, etc. It's not something you can just pick up willy-nilly anywhere. I always thought it was accepted as an identification, but here he's saying that he's had a number of places turn him down as far as accepting that as an ID. So yeah, we'll have to check that out. But of course, you got the national ID card now. That is something that you might want to look into about getting, because that, especially when you're dealing with government services, any kind of information that a government agency would need from you is right there, contained in that card. So that might be the solution, if you can, and I know you just can't always just get down to someplace and pick it up, but that government national ID card, I know it can be used, for example, if you're going from here to Cayman Brac to Grand Cayman when you're boarding a plane, that can be your identification instead of having to carry your passport with you, or or if you don't have a driver's license, when they want the ID before you board the plane, that national ID gives all the information that they need about that. And more now, when you go to a government agency, they of course want some kind of identification. Maybe in some cases you have to actually prove that you're Caymanian, prove your immigration status. All of that can be given to them once they take that card and read the chip, right? Your name, address, everything is digitally included in that card. And it's 1 o'clock. Coming up 1:30, we expect the premier to be joining me here in the studio. Right now, though, let's go to the newsroom.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Elizabeth Charles. Consolidated Waterco will host an investor conference call on Tuesday, March 17th at 11 a.m., they announced today. They say it's to discuss their full year 2025 results. The company says the financial results will be released in a press release before the call, which will be held by Consolidated Water Management and followed by a question and answer session. In other news, the U.S. and Israeli air war against Iran widened on Monday, with Israel striking Lebanon after Hezbollah fired missiles and drones, while Iran kept up missile and drone attacks on Gulf states. The fighting has shut shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, jolting oil markets, and Kuwait mistakenly shot down 3 American F-15 E-jets during an Iranian attack. All 6 crew members ejected and were safely recovered, U.S. Central Command has said. President Donald Trump says a, quote, big wave of further attacks is coming soon and told CNN, we haven't even started hitting them hard. In other international news, U.S. Treasuries have just logged their best month in a year, but the sudden war-driven spike in oil has dropped bond investors into a stagflation trap. Oil has surged as much as 14%, with Brent smashing through $80 a barrel, while the 10-year Treasury yield tumbled toward 3.9% before rebounding as markets questioned whether safe haven demand or inflation fears will dominate. Those are the latest headlines. I'm Elizabeth Charles.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
At HSA, we strive to provide the highest standard of care with compassion, integrity, and dedication. And so we say thank you, Cayman, for continuing to make us the most awarded organization on island by voting us the best of Cayman Islands in 9 medical categories. Your support reminds us why we do what we do, to serve the Cayman community with kindness and excellence. To find out more about our award-winning services, visit hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Henry Watson Ruddy, ISO, 1870 to 1943. Henry Watson Ruddy came to Cayman Brac as a young man with his father, William H. Ruddy, who was the first Baptist missionary to Cayman Brac and started the Baptist mission there. Dr. Henry Ruddy was born and educated in Jamaica and came to Cayman Brac as a young man. He was one of the first civil servants in the Sister Islands, holding the post of Collector of Customs. He was also the only medical dispenser on Cayman Brac which had no doctor. He mixed and dispensed medicines and also did minor surgeries, saving numerous lives. At times, he assisted his wife, Julia Ann Nee Lazari, a midwife who delivered nearly all the babies born on the Brac during Dr. Ruddy's term of service. He was also a school teacher and a preacher. On his retirement, his son Aston took over his government responsibilities.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
What if your child's future could take them anywhere in the world?
Discover global opportunities at Dorman Day Winter Fair. Meet top boarding schools and summer programs from Canada, the US, and the UK, all in one place.
Explore advanced STEM programs, humanities, fine and performing arts alongside elite-level sports, basketball, baseball, soccer, ice hockey, and more.
Meet admissions experts, ask questions, compare courses and campus life. Plan their global journey with confidence.
Saturday, March 7th at the Westin Ballroom from 1 to 5 p.m.
Register now at dormanday.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. A quick look at the weather. It's 83 degrees in Georgetown. Feels like 88. And the winds out of the east-northeast at almost 15 knots. And the forecast for the rest of the afternoon, partly cloudy, and that goes for the evening and tonight also, with winds northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts and moderate seas running at 3 to 5 feet. And the radar showing no rain in the area. No rain, just partly cloudy skies. Sister Islands, no rain. Let's few little blips out to sea, but no rain on the radar over in Little Cayman and Cameron-Brack either. We're talking about bullies, and I got a WhatsApp here. This one says, "Hi, sir. Cayman's biggest bullies are HR and bosses." I guess you don't work in a very nice place if that's your opinion of your HR department. And another WhatsApp call here. It says, "Mr. Glidden, please tell the caller," this is about trying to get through to HSA. "Mr. Glidden, please tell the caller to get direct lines extension whenever he's calling HSA physiotherapy department. Sometimes you can get through." Direct lines extension, what's that? The number of the department, rather than going through the operator. If you can get the direct number to a department that you're trying to reach, and you dial them directly. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, how are you?
Why, it's a great Monday, you know.
Yeah. Fresh start.
Yeah, man. I want to remind Cayman that tomorrow is National Pancake Day.
National Pancake Day. Well, so we know what you're going to have for breakfast then.
No, I can't eat that food no more, man, because I have sugar, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I say America, boy, they got a special day for everything, you know.
You better believe that. Every day is something special.
Yeah, man, but what the brother was saying about the calls and the answering machines, I experienced that all the while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether it's a problem in the system or staff.
Is this HSA you're talking about? You're talking about the HSA or just generally?
No, man, my hospital. I don't want to say nothing bad about my hospital, you know. But that's what's happening. You know, I tried to get hold to Dr. Simmons about 3 days last week. And the last time I tried, it go to an answering machine, and nobody called back. Nobody called back. I tried to get a hold to Dr. Christian, because, you know, he's between Smith Road and West Bay. So I tried to get a hold to him, and they hooked me up for Smith Road, but I can't get through to West Bay.
Okay.
About 3 times I tried it, but the other day I was in West Bay, and I went across the clinic.
Uh-huh.
So I get some direct numbers now.
Does that work for you?
Well, not right now, about the next 2 weeks. But the next 2 weeks, I'll try to get a hold to him in West Bay.
Because that's what the WhatsApp message was saying. Get the direct line to the department.
Yeah, maybe that'll be better, you know. Because some, you know, when you complain like that, some people, you know, how they take it. You know, maybe like they would say you're putting them down or something like that. And I do really want to get involved in those things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I heard the minister come on many times, and you see when them people come on the show like that, nobody can get to them to complain about anything. But but I don't need. I got to try something else before I would have to go to her to complain about those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know exactly what really causing it. Whether it's the staff not paying no attention to the work, or it's a problem with the system. You know?
True.
Yeah.
That's a fair way of looking at it. Maybe the system needs to be improved.
Yeah. Have a good afternoon, man.
All right. You too. Thanks for the call. Well, as I mentioned to the caller that was initially talking about not being able to get through the first public survey is launched to strengthen HSA's performance. And actually, the survey is being launched today. This is a news release I see here from our newsroom that came in. It says, further to the announcement by the Honorable Catherine Ebanks Wilkes, Minister for Health, Environment and Sustainability, during a press briefing on the 30th of January, the Ministry of Health, Environment and Sustainability is inviting patients and caregivers to participate in a community survey to help inform an independent diagnostic assessment of the Health Services Authority. As part of its commitment to strengthening Cayman's healthcare system, the ministry has commissioned KPMG to undertake the 10-week assessment. This forward-looking initiative will evaluate governance, frameworks, organizational processes, and operational effectiveness, while identifying opportunities to enhance performance and strengthen strategic alignment between the ministry and HSA. The diagnostic assessment will deliver evidence-based insights, highlight gaps, and inform practical recommendations for improvement. And they want the public to put their voice into this. The surveys begins today, and apparently this is the first time that the government has formally invited feedback from the public, concerning the performance at HSA. Members of the public who have utilized HSA's services at any time are encouraged to take part. Caregivers and parents may complete the survey on behalf of patients where appropriate. And this feedback will provide a deeper insight of the HSA. This will inform patient future planning, service improvements, and decision-making to ensure healthcare services continue to meet the evolving needs of the Cayman Islands community. It takes approximately 15 minutes to complete. All responses will remain strictly confidential. Individual responses will not be attributed to any participant, and findings will be synthesized and analyzed in aggregate form to form evidence-based recommendations for improvement. So all the information will be gathered and all put together, and for the different responses. And let's see here. And the survey runs from today through the 16th. And the survey will be available online at gov.ky/MHES, gov.ky/MHES. And to support broad community participation, printed copies, for those who can't go online, printed copies will be available at the Anthony S. Eden Hospital, and that's Georgetown Hospital, right? A lot of people still refer to it as that. Or, you can pick up copies, printed copies, at the Anthony S. Eden Hospital, and also at district clinics. Participants may also access the survey by scanning QR codes displayed on screens at HSA facilities and the Government Administration Building, as well as via the Government Ministry and HSA website and official social media platforms. So we get a call here every now and then, somebody complaining about HSA and what they didn't do, how bad something was. So here's a chance to directly give your opinion on service that you have received at HSA. And just go to the district clinic if you can't go online, or come down to the hospital, and let your voice be heard through this survey as to your opinion on the performance of HSA. We have a caller on the line. Oh, a voice note? Well, let's get the voice note.
No, I am not complaining about the HSA. I get excellent service from the HSA, and I have every department number, direct line, and if sometimes there is still a problem. But I am not putting down the HSA. I get excellent service from the HSA. I want to make a note of that. But it is the telephone line, the system that they have set up. And it's not only the HSA, it's other entities as well. CUC is another one as well. So it's a lot of them going on. I don't know if they don't have any operators that would man the phone service or what, but that is my experience. Not putting down the HSA. The HSA is excellent in other areas. And again, it is not the direct operators at the hospital, it's the other departments.
All right. So we got a clarification on what the caller was really experiencing, and maybe the communication system needs an upgrade. Maybe something is lacking there. And we have another caller. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Just juggling.
Yep.
Yeah. Can't do any better, but I was just listening to that caller about the service that they get, like the answering service and things.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I would be getting this correct, but how I'm thinking of this, right, is that those that who are in control of these rules that they have now, or at least the services that they provide, are under the assumption that everybody has the responsibility for access. And in my ways of thinking about it is that they believe that everybody on this island, or at least on the whole entire world, has adapted to the technology that is being provided.
Yeah.
But not everybody is up to par with that. And I don't know if they fail to realize that, but when you take away simple access for more technical, advanced access, a lot of people are being left out.
That's very true.
Yeah, and this is the problem that we have right now, where they're trying to force everybody to adapt or don't have access at all. To me, it sounds almost the same with the digital identification.
In what way?
So like, if you don't have your digital ID, how many access would you have?
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So now, what I would like to mention also is, I mean, with all respect to Flow, because I thank God that they actually give you guys a toll-free number that where I don't have to waste my credit. Right?
But whenever you call me, you're not wasting it, bro.
I'm not wasting it. I know, but sometimes I don't have the money to spend.
I hear you. I'm joking with you.
Yeah, I understand. But you see, one other thing, another point about it, right, is that I personally like to save money. I don't have a lot of money like
good for you.
Other people that have it to waste, right?
A lot of people don't know how to do that.
Especially living in a world where everything is monetized. So when I look at it, right, I say we have cell phones that still exist that are obsolete, and it doesn't give the option for those who want to save money, like we have all rights to do. It cannot work that way. So, like, how the days back then when you only had to put top up for SMS or straight calls.
Yeah.
Now they're giving you a plan, and the plan includes internet. Some of these phones that are obsolete don't have internet. So now what do they say? They cut those things off. They say if you don't have internet, you don't have access at all. It reminds me of those with the email addresses. Not everybody holds emails.
Mm-hmm.
So
they just got a basic phone, right? They just want to make a phone call.
Right, because I have one of those Nokias, right, which I would love to use, especially with my business, because I don't have time to text all the time, and I don't have time to just keep putting top up when my credit's done and I can't get access to internet. So I like to have I would love to have just cell phone calls, but there's not a single phone that is able to use without internet.
So let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. If you go to Flow or Digicel, you can't get a service unless it includes the internet as a package.
Unless I do an overseas calls.
But you'll have to have that internet as part of it.
Yep. And I think that wastes a lot of people's money.
Yeah. I mean, why can't you just get a phone line? A phone, just a SIM with a phone number. Because there are people that they just want a phone. They don't want to send messages. They don't want to go online. They want a phone that someone can reach them or they can reach somebody else. That's all they are interested in. And you should be able to do that.
And I think there should be a right to do it still too. So, but that thing with the assumption that people have access to the internet is a big setback to society. In my eyes, I think that those who contributed before without the need of internet, they can adapt, but it will take precious time to adapt to those things, and people don't have that kind of time to learn. Not saying that I'm just thinking for the person that are in the age that can't really, adapt. Not that they can't adapt, they just don't have the time, much less anyone to teach them.
Yeah, and kids can pick up a phone and it seems like they can learn how to use that phone in 30 seconds. Right, but people that are 80 years old, that's a strange instrument. A smartphone is like a strange thing to them. All the apps on it and all that. That's not in their mindset at all. Listen, I'm going to try and do we have another call? Yes, I got to try and squeeze somebody else in here before 1:30. So, but you made a very good point. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. All right.
Good afternoon. You are on the air with Talk Today.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Charles.
Yes. Thank you for calling.
You welcome. Welcome. I want to compliment that last caller about their phone lines. Yes, they need to do something. You've got the elderly people. I have two friends right now that is over the age of 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
One has had a stroke. So, of course, they don't know anything about what they remembered before. They don't remember it now. So they just need a basic phone to be able to call their friends or to call, personal numbers or emergency numbers. I mean, they can call 911, yes, and a phone could do that. But Flow does not, I don't know about Digicel, but Flow does not have no package that has just phone calls. Because I went to put credit on my friend's phone last week Friday, and I asked them the question, is there a phone that, because if the older people is only got a regular phone, the internet that they're paying for is wasted time.
Yeah, and money.
Wasted. Money is time. Time is money. And and Flow, I don't know who we need to speak to. In my opinion, it's a racket going on with the phones. Because when Flow first started to do their packages together, they used to give you 3,000 minutes. You used to get 3,000 minutes for, it wasn't $50, I think it was $30. It's not to be corrected, the exact one. But you used to get 1,500 minutes. Then they cut it down from 1,500 down to 600 minutes. And they went back up. Now the package, now you get 400 minutes for $62. In a space of less than a year, they went from $55 now to $62. So poor people cannot keep up with this. So we are asking on the government or Off-Rig or who it is to look into this. We know we don't have much competition because you won't got Flow and Digicel as our two main lines. I know you got a couple of other operators in between, but I don't think they do telephone. But not because they got the advantage of having the service that they need to take advantage of the people, the poor people that can't help themselves. So it needs to be looked into. The service that we're getting from Flow, especially, every couple minutes the phone calls are cutting off. You can't get out. Sometimes you be whole 2 and 3 days so you can't make a phone call. System is down. You can't put no credit and whatever. So somebody needs, we call on the government to step in to fix this problem.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that call. You have a good afternoon.
Bye.
We have someone else on the line. Let's see if we can get them in.
Hey, afternoon to you, Mr. Charlo.
Yes. How are you doing?
Not bad, sir. I trust you're well, too. Just to chime in on the last two callers, and I agree with you. Agree with them in regards to the telephone service. I think it's not so much the package. I think what's happening now is that they stopped the 2G. And the 2G is where those kind of analog phones operated from. So everything is, I think it's what now, 3 or higher?
I think 5G, no?
Yeah, well, it's 5, 3 or higher, all right? I don't know if it's all on 5, but those kind of older phones used to operate. Yeah. I don't know what 2G is, 3G is, but that's what they call it. So 2G is what we understand the analog phone operated on. And it's quite sad because I joined them in that my mother, who's over 80, used to have one of those analog phones and kept up with her family, her children, and stuff. And ever since that happened, she hasn't been able to. It doesn't matter how much I've tried to, just like you said, with all the apps and stuff, it's just difficult. She just finds it a real challenge. And so it saddens me ever since that happened because, you know, it was part of her communication of being able to start to get in touch with her children.
All she wanted to do was make a phone call. That's
right. I heard a very I laughed to myself because I heard a very senior came in, and I was in the line at Flow one time, and there was a young lady that was taking quite a while, and she was talking, you know, to the lady at the counter and going on about her smartphone, and this elderly came on and pulled his phone out and turned around to everybody in the line. He said, I don't know what she's talking about smartphone, but this a smartphone. It makes calls and receives calls. You're talking about a smartphone, that is. And everybody cracked up, you know. And he's so right, because that's all he really wanted to do. And so it's so sad that that's where we transitioned to.
Yeah.
It certainly has locked out certainly a lot of our seniors. And obviously that younger guy there had a need, you know, that was beyond not being able to use it. He just wanted to have, you know, just calls.
Yeah, communicate.
Just to be able to communicate. And that's all my mother wanted. And it really bothers me that she can't. We always have to go through the helper now that is with her, you know. So I don't know what can be done given that they, you know, it's not Flow's fault that they're not using or making analog phones anymore, it seems to be. So I don't know whether it's pushed or driven. So whether they had to do it because that's where the world's going, that everything is 3 and above. So, you know, I don't know how we solve that. But there was one thing I also wanted to chime in on.
Real quick.
Yeah, real quick. He talked about the ID and that you won't get much service. I don't think that's necessarily true. So I don't think not having the ID limits the fact that you can't get the service. What the ID does is actually increases or lessens the need for you to necessarily provide the same amount of information for everything. So that's all I wanted to say, man.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
We're going to take a break, and coming up, the Premier will join me in the studio.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Hey, new drivers, don't just drive, drive smart. Cineco and Inspire Cayman's Safe Driver program will show you how. Get real-life simulator training and classroom sessions to help you gain experience, stay alert, and avoid accidents. Learn to recognize risk, manage fatigue, and make smart choices behind the wheel. Certified participants may even pay less for Cineco motor insurance. Learn more and register at cineco.ky. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. And to top off Talk Today for this afternoon, it is my pleasure and honor to have my next guest join me in the studio to discuss a variety of issues and subjects. Just back from St. Kitts, where he attended the CARICOM Summit, is none other than the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable André Ebanks. Mr. Premier, welcome to Talk Today, and thank you for taking time out from what I know is a very busy schedule. You know, a pleasure to have you here in the studio. How are you doing?
Good day to you, sir. Good day to Caymanians. Good day to residents and Caymanians overseas. I must say, it does my heart well to see you. When we saw each other at a function a week or so ago, and I remember I mentioned to you, I said, I think I've done almost a full circuit now, but I haven't come to sit with you on Talk Today. We got to rectify that. So let's do it after CARICOM, and here we are.
Okay.
It does my heart well.
I'm glad you could make it. And to the callers, let me just take a moment here. We're not going to take phone calls right now. And if you want to send WhatsApp messages, you can. We'll read them. But right now we're just going to have a little discussion, and we'll get to you a little later in the program. But you'll have some chance to communicate with the Premier.
He wants me all to himself, ladies and gentlemen, for the time being, because we haven't sat down in quite some time.
Well, actually, let me start out, because from, I guess what it was, before 1 o'clock, one of the callers said, you said you're going to have the Premier on. I want you to ask him a question. So and he wants to know about using your voter's registration card, if you supported that as being an official ID. I thought it was.
And it has the hallmarks of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in certain corners it is used.
He said he'd been turned down.
But in certain places you would be turned down, which then leads into the reason, one of the reasons why we are marshalling the national ID, so that you have one document in your hand that's recognized in legislation that you can present, particularly that says you're Caymanian. I think I saw the news from that ministry that they are now up to 100. So they launched in a couple of weeks. I have mine.
Mm-hmm.
I can pull it out now since somebody raised it. This is the live card. I went to get mine. I have one document in my hand.
Can we get a shot of that?
For the first time in my life that says I'm Caymanian, rather than carrying around 5 to 6 documents.
Yeah, because that's been something for true-born Caymanians to actually You look good in that. Very serious.
Thank you. So
but
that was about
that's
2 weeks
something
ago.
that people, true-born Caymanians, sometimes have had trouble proving
that they're Caymanian.
That they're Caymanian, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So in the way in which the Innovation Ministry has it designed is that eventually we'll have features that you can add other IDs to it. So then your voter registration to answer the question would then be subsumed by this ID, and you'd only need to hold one ID. So there's been a number of countries that have advanced it previously, and the Innovation Ministry in the last 2 terms, I think, had used Estonia as a model. That's one of the leaders in terms of national ID. And the way theirs work is that your driver's license, your voter registration, all of it is all in one. Eventually, it gets to a stage where you would just use that to swipe through border control to come home. There is at least one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at least one person who's from Argentina who's resident in Cayman who showed me the Argentinian one, and he said, that's all I need to come home. I don't actually need the passport.
Well, that sounds fantastic, really. But before we get to the fun stuff, let me get to know a little bit, but let our audience that may not know about you get to find out a little bit about the man, the person that is behind the premier. Your path to the premier's office, I find a very interesting one.
Okay.
You started off in school with getting a degree in sociology.
Mm-hmm.
You went to law school, got a degree in law from Liverpool through Truman Bodden, worked in the financial industry for, a couple of years or so? Or
over a decade.
Over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that beat very well. Then you turned your back on what had to be a lucrative career to become a civil servant. What motivated you to make that turn?
Okay, audience, I now understand why he wanted me to himself for a few minutes. I didn't realize this was coming. But I'm happy to share. I think it's something I've probably shared in other interviews. The credit goes to my wife, Tiffany. So she had a very strong private sector career, KPMG, qualified accountant. She then moved on to accounting in-house for banks and so forth. She was the one between the two of us who made the initial jump to public service. I believe she was the deputy CFO to then Minister Arden, and he was the infrastructure minister. And then there was around about 2013, there was a set of financial services updates and changes that in private sector I wasn't quite comfortable with. So she challenged me when I came home and said, well, why don't you join the government? Put up or shut up. Don't sit up there and just moan. Here's the government intranet, which is called the Hub today. There's a job right now. There's a post right now, Senior Policy Advisor in Financial Services. They might be able to use a guy like you. And they are never going to want a young corporate lawyer running around the ministry. So how you know unless you try? So to humor her, I put the application in. Marriage is a partnership. It's a give and a take. You got to pick your battles. It was one of those interviews, and I don't know if anybody out there has had them, where middle of the interview, it stopped being a sort of stiff interview. It became sort of a meeting of the minds. Essentially what they were asking for was a translator, somebody who knew the legislation from the other side of the private sector fence, could give the ministry advice as to why industry would want something. Is this timely? Is this not? Is this best for Cayman overall, or is it just a specialized advocacy bit for a niche area? And I just was totally enamored with it. And so I was offered, I was a selected candidate and was offered the job. And then to bring it to a close, I know you want to get to other things. One of the first issues I had to work on was the minister at the time was G. Wayne Panton. And there was a long-standing issue of terms of how much was being charged, penalty fees were being charged for late filings of directors and officers. Industry was saying it's way too exorbitant, outside of the standards. Government was saying we need it for FATF purposes. So that was my first introduction to studying the FATF standards. Found a middle ground negotiated with the AG. I was shaking like a leaf when I went into his office. Said, I did my research, sir, and I think these could be peeled back slightly, but still be stiff enough to meet the standard. He went, and to this day, he's now my FATF, I say, partner in anti-crime. And he accepted the argument and said, let's see. And that hopefully we're not downgraded. And what had me hooked is I had a number of stakeholder consultations. And I remember when the bill was passed and watching Wayne deliver the bill that had a hand in preparing. I remember someone who had a smaller shop coming up to me in Foster's and saying, I remember the consultation. The bill's not passed. You helped save my business because the clients were just saying that this was too absorbent and we were going to go to a different jurisdiction. Thank you for helping. After that, that was worth more than any bill that I pumped out at Walker's, to know that you actually helped somebody's livelihood. And after that, I was hooked on public service.
You just returned from CARICOM. Did you come away with that thinking that there's a benefit for us to be involved in that organization? Do we really get any value out of that?
It was an extraordinary experience. Extraordinary. I can definitely see the value on a number of fronts. So this would have been my first trip. There was one in June of 2025, June or July, but it was a little too fast as the administration was being established. There's loads of stuff, as you would know, as a new administration has to align, so I couldn't quite fit it in. But with all of what's happening in the region, and I was looking ahead from January this year and seeing that there was going to be a meeting in February, I said, this is the one that I think is a can't miss when you think of all of what's happening in the region. I found it extraordinary because, one, you're essentially among your Caribbean people. There's a common heritage there. There's a fascinating history there that we all share. You then be able to listen and discuss with other leaders the challenges that they're facing, which are quite similar to what we're facing. Cost of living, housing, energy. You can hear it, and to be able to listen to how other leaders are grappling with it, it sparks ideas, things in which we may be able to help with, either through knowledge sharing, either through whether or not there are MOUs of exchanges of information or actual potential trade. So you have that, and this is all within the region, so the region looking after each other. You then were able to listen to the special guests that were invited, so it was now public information that it wasn't on the agenda when we flew into St. Kitts. Got onto the agenda when we were there after night one, is that Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be there. And then to be able to be at the table firsthand, so this isn't secondhand, you're actually looking and sitting and listening to the Secretary of State, who is of Caribbean descent because he's Cuban by descent, knows the Caribbean because his electoral patch was Florida. So he already had an understanding of the Caribbean. And to listen to him set out the vision for the Caribbean was extraordinary. Be able to just hear it firsthand, so you're not dealing with gossip. And then the ability, the other third bit of value, is then the ability to have bilaterals with other guests who have come. So, say for example, the United Emirates, Arab Emirates were there, UAE, other countries were there, other organizations were there, Caribbean Development Bank, the African Development Bank, just to name a few, who were all there to see how they could help and partner in the region with the common issues. So to be able to have that level of bilateral engagement and to see what other tools and mechanisms that Cayman might be able to draw on, maybe it'll come to fruition, maybe it won't, but at least we have the access to be able to make those potential arrangements. I thought it was extraordinary.
We have to take a little break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Ready to launch your career in hospitality?
If you're an ambitious young Caymanian, the DART Hospitality Training Program is your opportunity to shine.
This paid 4-month program gives you hands-on experience at world-class properties like Kimpton Seafire, the Ritz-Carlton, Hotel Indigo, Hampton by Hilton, and Bonnie Moon Beach Club.
Plus, DART has partnered with Lynn University to deliver an intensive 2-week hospitality curriculum from an accredited institution.
Gain real-world experience, learn from the industry leaders, and open doors to full-time careers in hospitality.
Applications close April 6, 2026, with programs starting May 2026.
Apply now at dart.ky/hospitality.
Happy 50th anniversary Radio Cayman. What an enormous legacy that has been made by Radio Cayman. God bless all of the employees, past and present, that have made Radio Cayman special. So as we celebrate this 50th anniversary, as we celebrate improvements and renovations to Radio Cayman, let's be thankful for the first 50 years, and Lord willing, ingenuity willing, collaboration willing, another 50 for Radio Cayman. Happy anniversary.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and in the studio with me is none other than the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable André Ebanks. Mr. Premier, not a week goes by since I've been doing this program that somebody doesn't call and have something to say about Caymanians being marginalized in their homeland. Caymanians not being given fair opportunity to pursue, their goals. What do you see that we have to do? And I know this immigration bill that was recently passed was seen to be able to try and fix some of this. But what do we have to do that Caymanians will not feel this way?
Well, you're touching on why immigration was prioritized as an urgent matter in this term because of that. So I think I sat right here a few weeks ago with OC to say the same thing. Think back to the 2025 campaign, to your point. Every one of the forums, this was a question. There was now a leaders debate now, was a question. Media interviews was a question. So there is no doubt in my mind, and I think the caucus's mind, that immigration was something that was going to have to be addressed, since it's been 15 years since any serious reform, which goes to the root of the feeling that people are expressing that you've just mentioned. So the overall vision was to say, we need to start somewhere, get a better handle on population control and the advancements of Caymanians in exchange for a more expedited system for when you need necessary labor. So it won't happen overnight. The bill went through Parliament, was passed, and is now coming back for some additional tweaks. Express fees that were previously didn't have a statutory underpinning, grandfathering of certain categories. Once that commences, and you now have a Caymanian Protection Act, You then need, as I've mentioned in caucus, I think I mentioned this on the floor of Parliament, I've said to the Minister Miles, who I think is doing a fantastic job, is it perfect? No. Is it easy? No. Are there going to be snags and setbacks and adjustments? Yes. But we have to address this for the reasons that you're hearing in every conversation that you say this is mentioned. The next step is, now that you have legislation and you're going to get started, is to now make sure that the boards and the departments are following through on the vision and the legislation, and do something new and innovative, which he's working on, is to move to more of an accredited system. Have the department split among the different industries in the country. Have a unit that's dedicated to tourism, financial services, commerce, MPOs, that knows those industries. Because where you might need a Caymanian in each of those differs. The qualifications that you need differs. I'm sure that there are very good employers now on the island who would take a group in of the civil servants and say, this is what we need and this is why we need it. So let's analyze who are the good corporate actors. Let's move to an accredited system where if they're 70, 75, 80% Caymanian, have no real records of complaints, but are asking and saying, I need necessary labor, because that necessary labor is going to come in and then train the next set of Caymanians that are coming out of school, which is why Minister Miles and Minister Anglin are working on that human capital database, so you can then be able to match the Caymanians. What disciplines are they studying? When will they graduate? What jobs will be available? All of this now can be aligned with data and tech. So gone are the days now where we're guessing as to, oh, Charles, when does he come back from school again? What's he studying again? We are now deep into the digital age where all of this now can be worked smarter rather than harder. That should then begin over time to alleviate the I've come home and I can't get a job. The civil service might not even remember if I'm here or not if I had the education. There's individuals who are in my constituency who have said, well, I have a government scholarship, I'm now doing an internship, but I'm not sure whether or not the education department knew where I was. And that not be that anybody was deliberately doing anything wrong or was silly, it's just that the system isn't really being tracked to an accurate level of degree. So where we stand is get through the immigration reforms, be able to then put in an accreditation system, track Caymanians who are coming in and out of school, of building that pipeline. So will you be able to have 100% record? Maybe not, but I'm confident that it will end up to be far more accurate and beneficial to Caymanians than the existing state, because we have to start somewhere, and what's happening now is unacceptable.
From what you know of the financial industry, do you think that Caymanians get fair opportunity in the financial industry? Because I hear complaints about that too. You can, that glass ceiling thing. You're only going to go so far. I was talking to someone the other night, and this lady she's done well herself in business, and we were talking about this sort of thing, and I said, well, maybe there is some hope. I just saw two Caymanians made more partners at a law firm.
Two young Caymanians.
Yes,
I know them well. West Bears.
Yeah. And her reply was, they won't be there for long. That's reserved for the English.
I doubt that. In their case, I doubt that. Extremely talented, dedicated, intelligent Caymanians, young man and young woman. I doubt that.
So
I see them going places, for sure.
For Caymanians who go through law school, go to accountancy. Yes.
So this will go back, if you skip back the recording, to my contribution on the immigration bill in December gone. That those of us who've worked in the industry know that there are supervisors and directors and managers who have come from overseas and have assimilated with us. And if you were to go check their immigration file for when they applied for status, you might see a file this thick of glowing recommendations from Caymanians who they've helped. You might then have somebody else who hasn't quite assimilated as much, has not necessarily treated Caymanians with respect, whose file might be this thick with complaints from Caymanians. What we're trying to motivate by that accreditation system is to motivate behaviors to say, if you're hitting particular metrics in turn where you need necessary labor, you will get it. That should then help to motivate a firm that isn't so great to say, well, hold on, that they're 75, 80% Caymanian and their work permits are coming like this, and I'm down at the lower end of the percentage. Maybe if I need this, I need to now change my behavior so I could try to get into the express lane. Because that's where government policy is going to have to step in. But to answer your question, where you have a good corporate citizen with great people who've come into the country, who see their role as assimilating training, there are success stories out there.
So Caymanians just need to really pursue this with all their heart and know that they're serious about what they're doing.
Well, let's go back to the initial part of your opening with me from when I was in the financial services industry. My view on it, and your daughter was there, Chand and I have been in the same trench together, is that I always viewed it as my obligation to learn as much as I could, as quick as I could, and to carry myself with as many zero mistakes as possible. Part of that may come from understanding that we may be under more of a microscope, and is it worth you studying and worried about the rights or wrongs with this, or just being the best that you can be? And if you've done the best that you can be, and there is still some level of discrimination, then that's a problem. But in my experience, having outside of a few rough characters here and there, of being able to have studied, worked hard, conducted yourself in a way as a professional, and be able to hit whatever the metrics are of performance that you need to hit, I've seen people and know of people to this day, and you just pointed to two of them, that are able to show and track success.
So the first step is to prepare yourself.
Correct.
And take that step and study as hard as you can and get as good grades as you can and be prepared to walk in and say, I'm qualified.
As Denzel Washington say, I do what I have to do, so I go do what I want to do.
Yeah. And so there's another one too. Do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Exactly. Either one.
Yeah.
So you still have to. So let's zoom out for a second. Let's say Minister Miles and Minister Anglin, who are working on this human capital database pipeline, comes online. And they're looking at Johnny and Sally, who have gotten a scholarship. Johnny and Sally is not guaranteed unless they perform under that scholarship and hit whatever the performance metrics are. So that's Johnny and Sally's obligation. The government's obligation is, if you've hit those performance metrics and we've now found you a job, is to be sure you're being treated fairly in the workplace so that you can excel.
Okay, we've got about 30 seconds before we have to go to the news. So if you want to send in some WhatsApp questions for the Premier, the number is 925-3261. 925-3261. You can start those coming in now. The Premier will be back with me when we come back from the news break. Right now, let's check in with the newsroom.
We are Radio Cayman, covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
Police say wanted man Derek Osney Bushy Bush is in custody. Officers arrested the 36-year-old West Bay resident on Saturday during a search operation at a home in the district. He was wanted for failing to appear in court on charges linked to a serious assault along with other offenses. He remains in police custody as investigations continue. In international headlines, U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. has the capability to go far longer than its projected 4 to 5 week time frame. for its military operations against Iran. The comment made during a Medal of Honor ceremony comes as the U.S. and Israel have continued to pound Iran since killing the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Saturday. French President Emmanuel Macron announced today that France will increase its nuclear arsenal and, for the first time, allow the temporary deployment of its nuclear-armed aircraft to allied countries. It's a new strategy aimed at strengthening Europe's independence. In a speech that was planned long before the recent outbreak of war in Iran, Macron discussed how French nuclear weapons fit into the security of Europe, as leaders there expressed concerns over recurring tensions with U.S. President Donald Trump and Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. France has been the only nuclear power in the European Union since Britain's exit from the bloc in 2020. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. And quick weather update. It's 83 degrees in Georgetown, feels like 89, and the wind out of the east-northeast at 14 knots. The forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies for the rest of the afternoon and straight into tonight, with winds out of the northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, seas running at 3 to 5 feet. So we are pleased to be able to have the premier in the studio. And as I said, you can send us some WhatsApp messages, and we will take your calls also. And, the numbers to call, 1-800-534-8255. That's courtesy of Flo, or 949-8037, 949-6990. And, of course, the WhatsApp, 925-3261. Another big topic that we always have on here is the cost of living, of course. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, there are forces at work that a local government really, especially if you import everything, you can't have that much control over it. What are you seeking to do as far as cutting some kind of cost from what people are experiencing right now in their day-to-day expenses?
Very good question. And before you get to that, I noticed that you said on the weather is 83 outside, but it feels like 89. Yeah. I think that what we call that Christmas breeze is slipping or slipped away.
Yeah.
Just to walk over here from Gab to here, it felt hot.
Yeah.
Getting hot again. Which then goes into the cost of living. It's a good segue because we live under the sun. So there's a few things. One is, as a shorter term step, it's been publicized. Minister Nick DaCosta is looking at the duty codes under him right now to see what can be slashed on certain products. Hopefully, on some of the essential goods, some stuff is already duty free, but what else could be slashed to motivate a lower cost to the consumer, and then also perhaps motivate even healthier living in certain cases. So that's one of the most first immediate steps. The second thing is, and I said this to OC and a few other programs, when you look at the Economic and Statistics Office data, the largest contributing cost factor to households is household expense itself, whether it's mortgage or rent, and then also energy. So what Minister Anglin now, with respect to energy, and also what he's also doing in terms of health insurance and property insurance, is to start to build a pathway for when it comes to energy between the main stakeholders of the regulator, OFREG, CUC, and also the green energy lobby, to say, at the end of the day, what we want is a lower cost of energy. The three of you seem to be in quite tense relationship. How do we get to yes to lower the cost of energy? We're living under the sun. How do we move to green energy so that if you have less to spend on your CUC bill, you then have more that you can purchase at Kirk's or Foster's or wherever the marketplace that you shop. In addition to that, if we're lowering the cost of energy, not just in your home, but in the shops, then that's less that Foster's and Kirk's have to pay for CUC bills that they bake into the price of goods, so that everybody wins. So one of the most glaring examples and items to work on right now, which Minister Anglin is working on, is to lower the cost of energy. Outside and further to that is then the cost of housing. Minister Jay has been leading and brought forward to the cabinet a 10-year housing plan. Part of that, and he's also working on closing the next set of phases for Plan Cayman. Part of that is to be able to move to a lesser cost of building homes, restarting what was previously called GGHAM, which we're going to call Home. There's a program to get Caymanians onto the property ladder, and then utilize the same stamp duty to have different brackets to get Caymanians onto the property ladder. Because a number of Caymanians are unable to get onto the property ladder. They've ticked all the boxes, but where the hurdle that they trip over is usually the stamp duty cost, the closing cost, and lower that cost so they could get in a home. So starting with the cost of food, looking at those duty codes and other items, then going to looking at energy, and then looking at housing, and health insurance is another large one. Our overall vision is to get to a stage where you're now utilizing more government purchasing power for property and health insurance, so that the consumer is getting a much better deal than the smaller packages that are out there now. And what we're eyeing is whether or not there needs to be a universal payer system through government to lower the cost of health insurance.
Yeah, the health insurance, that's another one. Some people are even calling for, a complete revision of what we pay for health insurance in Cayman, and how it is handled, the different levels of it. Because, the SHIC, you don't get too far until you get into the hospital. You have to be hospitalized for that thing to really, kick in. Is there any possibility of that being on the agenda?
That's exactly what. That's all part of. That's all part of the agenda. Because again, be data driven. I hear different sort of conjecture about lower this and lower that, but when you look at the data, two biggest things in households are energy, housing, and then health insurance. Those are the areas that are within focus in this term to bring those down. These are long-standing problems. The health insurance is not new. Just hasn't been appropriately tackled yet. That's what we're after.
Here's a WhatsApp message. It says, good afternoon. Data-driven decision, evidence-based practices, strategic practices are all music to my ears. Continue to stay focused and operate with integrity. I applaud your regular communication with the public. Please continue to do so, and also encourage all ministers and department heads to do the same. So that's one of our listeners there, liking what he's hearing from you.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's see another one here. And this person was asking about the ID that we were talking at the top, asking if it was only for Caymanians that can get that ID card.
It's broader than Caymanians. It's residents.
All residents are eligible.
Residents.
Yes.
So when the bills were brought last term, then I was the innovation minister, it was no secret, and part of the promotion for it was when I waved it around in this broadcast, was to give Caymanians one document that said they were Caymanian.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt about that. It was a Caymanian first project, but also so that we don't have to carry around 5-6 documents everywhere to prove you're Caymanian or go try to get an acknowledgement letter. And even that we're trying to rectify with a mix of legislation and, again, technology. I ran into a Caymanian. This is before CARICOM, before St. Kitts. Well-known Caymanian. I just so happened to go to the General Registry in the Government Administration Building to go get something else. And that Caymanian was at the counter and said, I am here running around. I got to get my birth certificate. Then I got to take it across the road. This is ridiculous. How come we don't have all this online? And I said, sir, trust me. We are working on this right now. And I gave him the steps, the national ID. Some of the legislation needs to be tweaked for immigration. And he said, yes, that can't happen soon enough. But to answer the question, yes, it will be resident-based. So as a resident, you can have an ID.
How long do you think it's going to be before people can expect some of these things to come true for them, as far as getting their first little house? And people are not really looking for some big mansion. They're just looking for a modest dwelling that they can call their own. But when will they be able to get some kind of assistance?
Some proof points. So I think that's exactly why we are setting out short, medium, and longer term goals. So when we talked about the cost of living and I talked about the short-term goal of examining this duty codes, that's quicker. So that hopefully we can get that done and people can feel that. Because people, at least for me, let's just say, because I'm a voter too, I want to be able to see some traction. I understand not everything is going to happen overnight. I understand that things take time, but I'd like to be able to continue my faith to grow by seeing some proof points. So let's see what we can, as a caucus, what we have done is see what is shorter term and can actually be hit by a particular milestone. And then as the housing policy comes online and we're not even starting to move legislation, so there's a bill in the House, before the House, that will be debated next week, the Registered Land Amendment Bill, to put in the first time. Now, this is the other end of the spectrum. This is for the homeowner who might be challenged by a bank because of cost of living and keeping up with payments. And the banks to date have each had different practices on foreclosure. This now emanates from primarily the work of the Law Reform Commission to put in a UK-style protocol that's uniform for the country of how you enact a foreclosure. Because on the other end of the spectrum, you're discussing quite rightly Caymanians who are trying to get on the property ladder, but what are the ones who are already on it and are facing cost pressures and could lose the home? Because that's another problem to exacerbate. We have to be sure that it's a fair enough balanced system, and it also has some other protocols that people understand the mortgage packages that they have signed up to. They understand the terms and how they'll have to be able to abide by those, and to have the banks adopt by law, a new uniform code of when foreclosure can happen, because we don't want to lose those who are already in a home. We're trying to keep a track of those who are not in a home and get them on the property ladder.
So would the banks then, would it be incumbent on them to make sure that their customer knows what they're getting into?
Correct. That's part of the bill now. So there's sort of a pre-action protocol, and then there's a protocol or a procedure in place of what happens and the steps that have to be taken if somebody's is behind in their payments and maybe leading to a foreclosure. That hasn't happened in Cayman's history. It's on the legislation.gov.ky website right now.
Let's take a little break. We'll be right back.
Hey, new drivers, don't just drive smart. Cynical and Inspire Cayman's Safe Driver program will show you how. Get real-life simulator training and classroom sessions to help you gain experience, stay alert, and avoid accidents. Learn to recognize risk, manage fatigue, and make smart choices behind the wheel. Certified participants may even pay less for Cynical motor insurance. Learn more and register at cynical.ky. Cynical, keeping Cayman covered.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from March 9 to 13 at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book Book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and in the studio with me is the Premier, the Honorable André Ebanks. And you go into Parliament on Wednesday, right?
Day after tomorrow.
Yep. You're bringing a package of urgent bills, and among them are amendments to the recently passed Caymanian Protection Act. And there's been some criticism there saying, they didn't think it through. Now they got to come back, even before it goes into effect and make amendments to it. How do you reply to that?
Sure. So, as an overarching general point, the position on the bill in the House in December was that, again, long-standing problem, no significant legislative reform in this area for over 15 years. He knew that there were going to be points in time that if it wasn't quite right, most every person from the government bench who spoke said, we are not going to be bashful about coming back to fix something if it needs an adjustment. In this case, what occurred here, which is a pretty significant part of the bill, and this is not unusual, unfortunately, is Legislative Drafting Council pointing out that certain fees that have been charged historically didn't have a solid statutory underpinning. And if you keep charging them, then there's a case the government is unlawfully charging people. Mm-hmm. Has happened in dozens, I think at least dozens of legislation. It's happened to me in financial services, particular company fees. So before you now have a revamped legislation, I would think we would want urgently to be sure that the fees that are being charged are lawful. So that's not necessarily an oversight of the particular bill that went through in December. That's a historical oversight that is now being rectified. In addition to that, there's a grandfathering clause to clarify who's going to be grandfathered into the legislation, which is urgent because you don't want people in a gray zone with new legislation. And then the added piece was whether or not, which doesn't necessarily emanate from the immigration ministry. It emanates from all of us in terms of being able to have a provision that can deem who is Caymanian, so you could try as much as possible to narrow who has to go get an acknowledgement letter, that vexing issue that you yourself as a Caymanian have to go ask someone who should know you Caymanian to give you a letter to tell you Caymanian. So with us saying, okay, we already have to go fix these issues to make sure that the legislation gets off onto the right foot, let's see if we can at least put in this clause to try and tackle that vexing issue.
Wasn't the grandfathering clause originally part of the bill?
Right. So there were points that had to then be clarified. So again, our position has always been, this is going to be a long project. It is long-standing issues. If we have to go back to make an adjustment, we will.
Let's get another WhatsApp message in here. Good afternoon, Mr. André Ebanks. My Premier and Chilco Andra. Maybe you know who this is coming from. What needs to be ensured? Are we getting the duty-free prices? You and your team are doing a phenomenal job. Just let them know you are not God. Okay, well, let's see here. We get another one here. Sometimes this won't open for me. Let's see. Anyway, let me work on that, but let me ask you another question. The financial industry is our big number one industry in the Cayman Islands. It's, I guess you could say, it's what fuels this country, really. What challenges are we facing as far as overseas challenges when it comes to our financial services?
So I call them opportunities.
Okay.
We have worked very hard, and particularly the last 10 years, to now be recognized as a globally respected financial services center of excellence, and are now off of all the international high-risk lists, and now getting into forum and conferences and meetings that historically we didn't have before, because there's now a recognition of our well-regulated, sophisticated product. The opportunity that exists from that is to ensure that we do what we can to continue staying off those lists. So this is why you'll see me taking trips to go to FATF plenaries. I might even start to go to the Caribbean regional CFATF plenaries to be sure you're at the table when standards are being discussed, may have a greater understanding of how that can be put into the Cayman context and where we may need to make appropriate adjustments. Staying off of those continues to boost our reputation and allow more and more transactions to happen here, which then translates into jobs and opportunities for Caymanians and for residents. So those are the opportunities. And so I don't see the task of trying to be sure that you stay off those lists as challenges. I look at it as a golden opportunity to continue to prove ourselves. In addition to that, we sometimes have to make the case for ourselves. Right now, we have a difference of opinion with the UK. They're of the view that there should be what I call a Google search type of register for beneficial ownership. We hold the view based on case law that that's not the direction of travel internationally, and our council, internationally recognized council, has said if that is introduced here, the courts are likely to strike it down as unconstitutional because there's a right to privacy. We understand you have a different view, but at the same time, we have a constitution. The Constitution is substantially similar to the European Convention on Human Rights, which is an international treaty, and there is case law from 2022 from the European Court of Justice that says exactly that. There's a Google-style complete public register is not in compliance with the right to privacy. What the judges in the case said is, hang on, there's maybe one area in which we could see trumping the right to privacy is what is termed as legitimate interest, where a accredited journalist is hot on the heels of a bad actor, has a suspicion of criminality, and in order to make the case, they need a few more bits of data of information. The judges in the case said, well, in that case, that might be in the public interest to go after the bad actor, but not just for everybody to go on a complete fishing expedition.
Just because you're curious.
Just because you're curious. But there might be a public interest to say, now, hang on a second. If this person really is ripping off or making stuff up RBC Bank, then the public might say, look, I'm sorry, you might have waived your right there because we need to know you're not stealing from the bank. Mm-hmm. That is the line of travel that we see developing as regional and international standards, and that's where we're positioning Cayman. So at the moment, the UK may not necessarily be happy with that position, but we feel it's on sound constitutional footing.
You think it's going to come down to a battle in court?
I would hope not. I've told the Minister Dowdy, who's currently responsible for the overseas territories, that wouldn't be a good look for the quote-unquote UK global family. In addition to that, if we turn out to be correct in court, then your transparency initiative around other regions might stall, because that's what happened with the Luxembourg case that I referred to in the European Court of Justice. It slowed the movement towards public registers because it's a serious court with a serious judgment that made people say, hang on, maybe we can't go that far. Let's craft something that's more in line with the Constitution. So I think it's incumbent in our overall interest to start legitimate interests, see what that tells us, make sure it can be maintained, and if in how many ever years it evolves that everybody around the world is doing a public register, which has been Cayman's position for the last 10 to 12 years, then that's a different story. But at the moment, that doesn't seem the direction of legal travel.
A WhatsApp message here. Hi, Mr. Premier. Will civil servants ever be able to use part of their pension for mortgage or land? Also, why can't government have first dibs on any foreclosed homes?
Well, foreclosed homes would be a private contract between the bank and then the government. So you have contractual rights there. In relation to the civil service, it's a good question that I'm happy to take back to the portfolio of the civil service. That is a side of the constitutional line that is reserved for the civil service to the governor and the deputy governor, but happy to take it back and raise it.
We're coming down to the end of the show here, but what keeps you awake at night? Lots of things.
This question comes up a lot. I try to reposition it most times and say, what do I want to see and visualize rather than the concerns? Because if the concerns are addressed, then the vision in my head and the head of the caucus can then be materialized. What you want, I think, ultimately, is we want a healthy, strong, vibrant middle class of Caymanians who can pay their bills as comfortably as possible, send their children to school, those children who are doing well being able to get a job, move forward, and we live in a harmonious state. That's the vision that I try to go to bed every night, and as a caucus, we're trying to work towards getting. Are there potential challenges to that vision state? Yes. But I would prefer to go to bed, to answer your question, with a more positive outlook and how we're going to overcome those to get to that future vision than to, as my father would say, worrying never really helped anybody.
So that's the kind of Cayman, I guess, that you are foreseeing for your children and their classmates to be living in as adults?
The whole, to go back to your first question about my joining public service and entering electoral politics, is not to do this for André Ebanks. All things being equal, my wife and I and our friends of similar age, by and large, are going to be okay. The question is, and I guess that's what you could tie in to what keeps you up at night, is what are we going to leave behind for my kids and their kids? Yeah. That's the issue. And this is why we're going to work every day to do as much good as we can, as quick as we can, to ensure that what is left behind for our children is even better than what I experienced.
And well, you have to see a Cayman where Caymanians have the opportunity to pursue happiness.
Yes.
And meet their goals, right? I mean, I think that's the only way you talk about living in harmony. I mean, this is Cayman, and we have to find that way, that pathway that people can live together in harmony.
You have to. I'll give you a short story that I think I mentioned at the Chamber luncheon in October last year. I have, by virtue of age, I'm not as young as I used to be, I've converted from tennis to pickleball. I've made the jump. I resisted it for at least a year, and a good friend of mine, he's a civil servant, so I won't name him, was after me for about 6 months. You got to try this. Great sport. But what's remarkable, if anybody goes to the pickleball court across from the cricket field in town, it is a melting pot. Sociological melting pot. Now, my first degree, as you said, is sociology, so I tend to be more in tune with these things. Of seeing Caymanians, non-Caymanians, first-generation Caymanians, multi-generational Caymanians, those young, those of advanced age, all playing in harmony there with no strife whatsoever. And all that matters is how good you are at the sport. Trying to translate that to a vision in the workplace.
This is going to take me over time, but I want to ask it anyway. Do you think we need to look at allowing expat kids to go to government schools again?
I will reserve that question for seeing how our very capable education minister does with the current reforms in front of him and see where that takes us before we get to that. But I will say this, it's something that is to be considered and not necessarily thrown out, because the past gives us enough data to say the blending within the schools at the time really seemed to serve Cayman well. And those Caymanians, whether they were multi-generational Caymanians at the time or first generation Caymanians at the time, came out with a cultural and sociological mix where they just saw each other as all Caymanians. And that happened at the school level.
Right.
The reason I resist giving you a direct answer is because it's easier said than done with the capacity issues. In theory, you could say yes. But with the capacity issues that exist, it's a little more difficult to say practically you could wave your magic wand and mix them tomorrow. So it requires more thought. So let's see what the current reforms tell us and where we get to. But it is something that is idealistic to continue to think about because of how it worked in the past.
Mr. Premier, thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon. I'm going to have you back again sometime.
Let's do it again, and let's not make it months and months from now.
Right.
And let's see each other by chance at a conference. All right, my brother.
All right.
Good to see you. All the best to the family, and God bless Cayman. Cayman, we live in a very, very blessed country. Yes, we have challenges. Yes, we have setbacks. But just take a look around at the news today and think about what's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And think about we are here. I just left before I came earlier this morning, left to go to the inter-secondary track and field event at Truman Bodden. Here we are, sunny day, watching our kids do track and field. Airport seems to be packed. Had breakfast at one of the hotel restaurants. Record climbing tourism here, stayover tourism here. News from the DP, financial services buzzing. Do we have challenges? Do we have items to adjust and tweak? Yes. But overall, when you scan the globe, we have 3 islands as a country that is blessed. And may that continue. Amen.
A great place to live.
Great place to live. Amen.
That's it for Talk today. Thank you for listening in. I'm Charles Glidden. One love.
Talk Today is brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.